On March 26, 1997, a gruesome scene unfolded in a luxurious mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, California. The mansion, known for its opulence and grandeur, became the site of one of the most shocking mass suicides in modern history. 39 bodies lay neatly arranged, all dressed in identical black shirts and sweatpants. Each member had meticulously prepared for this final act, their commitment to their beliefs evident in the uniformity of their appearance. Their faces were serene, almost peaceful. It was as if they had found solace in their final moments, convinced that they were about to embark on a journey to a higher plane of existence. These were the members of Heaven's Gate, a secretive cult that believed a spaceship was coming to take them to a higher level of existence. Led by Marshall Applewhite, the group had spent years preparing for this moment, isolating themselves from the outside world and adhering to strict doctrines. The discovery sent shockwaves across the nation and raised unsettling questions about the power of belief and the allure of cults. Media outlets scrambled to cover the story, and the public was both horrified and fascinated by the details that emerged. The Heaven's Gate tragedy became a grim testament to the dangers of unchecked belief systems. Experts in psychology and sociology began to analyze the factors that led to such a devastating outcome, seeking to understand how rational individuals could be drawn into such extreme ideologies. It forced the world to confront the uncomfortable reality that even in our modern age, the pull of unconventional and sometimes dangerous ideologies can be incredibly strong. The incident sparked a broader conversation about the nature of belief, the vulnerability of the human mind, and the ways in which charismatic leaders can exploit these vulnerabilities. The event left a permanent mark on our collective consciousness, a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of the human psyche. Memorials were held to honor the victims, and documentaries and books were produced to ensure that the lessons learned from Heaven's Gate would not be forgotten. The tragedy serves as a stark warning of the potential consequences when critical thinking is overshadowed by blind faith. The story of Heaven's Gate began in the early 1970s with two enigmatic figures, Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. Their paths crossed in a way that seemed almost fated, setting the stage for a movement that would captivate and bewilder the world. Applewhite, a charismatic former music professor, and Nettles, a nurse with a deep interest in theosophy, met in Houston, Texas. Applewhite had recently been dismissed from his teaching position, and Nettles was going through a tumultuous period in her personal life. Their meeting, as they later claimed, was not a coincidence. They felt an immediate and profound connection, believing that their encounter was preordained by a higher power. They believed it was a divinely orchestrated event. This conviction led them to explore spiritual and metaphysical concepts, blending elements from various religious traditions and modern science fiction. Together, they embarked on a journey to spread their unique blend of Christian eschatology, New Age mysticism, and science fiction. They traveled across the United States, holding meetings and sharing their vision of an imminent transformation of human consciousness. They called themselves the Two Orduanti, names inspired by musical notes, symbolizing harmony and unity. Their teachings emphasized the idea of transcending the human condition and preparing for a higher existence. Their message resonated with a segment of society grappling with the rapid societal changes of the time. The 1970s were a period of great upheaval, with many people questioning traditional values and seeking new paths to enlightenment. People were searching for meaning and purpose. The counterculture movement had opened the door to alternative spiritualities, and Applewhite and Nettles' teachings offered a compelling narrative that promised answers to life's deepest questions. Many found it in Applewhite and Nettles' teachings. Their followers, who came from diverse backgrounds, were drawn to the promise of a new beginning and the hope of transcending the limitations of earthly existence. The seeds of Heaven's Gate were sown, and a new chapter in the quest for spiritual enlightenment had begun. Central to Heaven's Gate's belief system was the concept of the next level, or the evolutionary level above human. This idea was not just a simple belief, but a complex doctrine that promised a transcendence beyond the physical realm. It was a promise of ultimate salvation and enlightenment, a way to escape the perceived corruption and decay of the earthly world. Applewhite and Nettles taught that the earth was about to be recycled, and only those who were spiritually prepared would ascend to a higher plane of existence. This recycling was seen as a necessary cleansing, a way to reset the planet and rid it of its impurities. They emphasized that this was an urgent matter, and the window of opportunity to prepare for this ascension was rapidly closing. They preached that the human body was merely a vessel, a temporary container for the true essence, which they referred to as the soul or mind. This soul, according to their teachings, was the true self, the eternal part that could transcend physical death. The body was seen as a hindrance, something to be transcended in order to reach a higher state of being. To reach the next level, members had to undergo a rigorous process of spiritual transformation. This transformation involved strict discipline, including meditation, study, and the renunciation of worldly pleasures. It was a path that required total commitment and unwavering faith in the teachings of Applewhite and Nettles. This involved severing all earthly attachments, including family, friends, and possessions. Members were encouraged to cut ties with their past lives, to let go of any emotional or material connections that could hold them back. This was seen as a necessary step to purify themselves and prepare for their journey to the next level. They believed that a spaceship hidden behind the Hale-Bopp comet would transport them to this higher realm. This belief was a central part of their doctrine, and the comet's appearance was seen as a sign that the time for their departure was near. The spaceship was envisioned as a divine vessel, a chariot that would carry them to their new home in the cosmos. Their teachings, a bizarre mix of biblical prophecy, UFO lore, and New Age jargon, captivated a following hungry for spiritual enlightenment and fearful of earthly doom. Applewhite and Nettles presented themselves as messengers of a higher power, offering a way out of the chaos and suffering of the world. Their message resonated with those who felt lost, disillusioned, or desperate for meaning, drawing them into a tightly knit community with a shared vision of salvation. Life within Heaven's Gate was highly regimented and controlled. Members lived communally, adhering to a strict set of rules and regulations. They renounced all personal possessions, adopted gender-neutral appearances, and adhered to a rigid schedule of prayer, study, and work. Celibacy was strictly enforced, as physical desires were seen as obstacles to spiritual advancement. The group sustained itself through a variety of means, including running a successful web design business. This not only provided them with financial resources, but also reinforced their belief in their own technological advancement. Their lives were a curious blend of the mundane and the extraordinary. They were masters of the early internet, yet they believed in spaceships and a higher evolutionary level. In 1995, the Hale-Bopp comet blazed across the night sky, capturing the world's attention. For Heaven's Gate, the comet was more than a celestial spectacle. It was a sign. Applewhite convinced his followers that the comet was a cosmic messenger, signaling the imminent arrival of the spaceship. Time was running out, and the only way to be ready for the pickup was through a final, dramatic act. The group went into overdrive, preparing for their departure. They meticulously planned their final days, recording farewell messages and composing group photos. They believed that by ending their earthly lives, they were simply shedding their physical containers and allowing their true selves to board the waiting spaceship. The mass suicide of Heaven's Gate members was a meticulously planned event. Over several days, they ingested a lethal cocktail of phenobarbital mixed with applesauce washed down with vodka. They died in shifts, with some members helping others to fulfill the ritual. The last remaining members ensured that the world would find their message. The media descended upon Rancho Santa Fe, eager to unravel the mystery of Heaven's Gate. The public was both horrified and captivated by the story. The tragedy sparked a national conversation about cults, the internet, and the fine line between faith and fanaticism. The story of Heaven's Gate is a stark reminder of the power of belief. It compels us to ask why some individuals are drawn to such extreme ideologies. What void are they trying to fill? How can seemingly rational people be persuaded to embrace such unorthodox and ultimately deadly beliefs? While there are no easy answers, understanding the psychology of cults can help us recognize the warning signs and potentially prevent future tragedies. The search for meaning and belonging is a fundamental human need. However, it's crucial to approach spiritual exploration with a critical mind and a healthy dose of skepticism. The Heaven's Gate tragedy serves as a chilling reminder of the potential dangers of unchecked belief systems. By understanding the factors that contributed to this tragedy, we can hopefully prevent similar events from happening in the future. It's our responsibility to educate ourselves and others about the dangers of cults. Share this documentary, spread awareness. Let's work together to ensure that no one else falls prey to the allure of such dangerous ideologies. We must remain vigilant and empower individuals to think critically and to question teachings that seem too good to be true.